Oh, relationship. Yeah.
All right. And we're live.
And we're back. Two, three
Episode
weeks later.
2. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a couple weeks. Yeah, I've been busy. Been super busy lately. Moving into the new spot, new location,
New setup.
new setup. I'm going to get it popping, get it a little bit better than it is right now,
Get it popping.
but it'll be good. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If y'all don't know, Kyle is a homeowner now.
hmm
So very,
I
very proud of you.
own a house,
Pretty dope. We're in the basement right now.
hmm also known as my room, and it's nice.
Mhm. So this week we are talking about relationships, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a sensitive topic for me, considering I've had a slew of relationships in my day. So we got a lot to talk about. So where do we want to start, Kyle?
Oh, yeah. Um, yeah, let's just start with our experiences with relationships
Who
and
do
the different
you?
kinds. It's kind of crazy. There's different kinds nowadays.
You talking
Being in
about
a
situationships?
yeah, or like there's the married couples and stuff. Being on the dating apps and stuff. It's not fun. I mean, it's fun, but I'm like I'm way better in person, meeting people in person. Um,
Hmm.
But yeah, it's so funny because I'm like, I don't think I could ever be in a polyamorous relationship or share my partner in that way because I'm a little jealous in a way. I get
Hmm.
kind of jealous and I'm just like, I don't think I could do that. Maybe with another girl would be fine,
Every guy
but
says that.
yeah, of course,
Every guy says
because
that
that's like, oh,
shit.
cool, yeah, that's awesome. But
Two girls? Fuck yeah.
yeah, I just yeah, I don't understand it. Yeah, I don't know. I have friends that are open to that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like I was part of a couple and was part of a relationship with some couple in town or whatever, and it was a lot of fun and all this." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." It just yeah, I mean, whatever floats your boat. I'm not gonna judge you either way. Do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy, kind of a new, maybe a new age thing.
And- mm. So getting right into polyamory. Okay. I like it. I have been in a poly relationship before. I have been what they would call in the community a unicorn. I've also been the partner, not the third, I guess, what you'd call it, uh, as well in that type of dynamic relationship dynamic. So it's pretty interesting. I get the aspects of it. It's kind of forces you to like check yourself and have a lot of inward self reflection, like check your jealousy, your possessiveness, things like that, your insecurities, and actually build like a genuine trust. I know a lot of people that do that type of shit fuck it up because they don't do the necessary like foundational work to have that type of relationship dynamic. So it always ends up shitty.
Yeah,
And
maybe like not having the boundaries set
mhm,
or like the rules set before it,
mhm,
and somebody crosses boundaries, somebody gets hurt,
mhm,
to where yeah, it's not fun anymore. But
mhm.
I could see that like if you're open to it and you know you're understanding the situation for what it is. Um, it's just yeah, it's just not your traditional relationship. I can understand like it would be it'd be fun, it'd be cool, and if it's something that you really are into, I think that's cool for everybody. There's something out there for everyone, I think. So yeah,
A little bit of something for everyone.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, I've done it before too, but I've noticed within my own self, if I really truly like am serious and committed to somebody in that relationship, I will not or do not share them. I've noticed that because I've been in relationships where I didn't give a fuck and I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. And in the end, it ended because I was just like, it's just me. Like everyone's different. I'm not saying, you're in a three-way relationship or four or whatever relationship and it's not all love or true love. I'm just saying for me, that's what I've noticed. And So when I know that I truly seriously want to be with somebody, I'm like, nope, this is mine. So yeah, that sounded really possessive, but it's true. Like I'm like, nope, this is mine.
Yeah, because you see something deeper, like you're gonna build with that person. You're gonna be creating a life with that person. You see something more with that person versus just like kind of having fun. That's almost my impression of poly relationships. It's like it's more for fun. It's more to just like go out and have that stable, somewhat stable relationship with a couple different people. But like when you're really thinking on that like more traditional mindset where you're just like, oh, I'm gonna build, have kids, start a family, buy a house, all that stuff. Yeah, I could definitely see that too. That's kind of where I more line up
You're
with,
traditional.
obviously more traditional.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, I've been in and out of relationships. I've had a lot of really good relationships, and I've had not so good. But I take those as learning lessons with anything. I feel like I've always had the power in relationships, going from the very first time. All that was like where I think that first time I didn't really have any of the power or any like saying things. I was kind of like, oh, I'm new to this, I don't know really what I'm doing.
Are you talking
And
about when we dated in
I
high
really
school?
didn't know what I was doing when we dated.
Dated for like 2 weeks. It was cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, this cute girl is it likes me. Okay, cool. Yeah, hell yeah, what's up?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm happy about it. I'm here.
Fun times, fun times.
Yeah, high school relationships are fun. I mean, look, we're like lifelong friends now, and now we're doing a podcast. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, a little excerpt about our relationship. Yeah, we go back to high school pretty much,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I remember seeing you in high school, and I was like, "Damn, she's super cute." And then I heard, or you told me, or something that you're like, "Oh yeah, I think you're super cute." I was like, "Oh, nice, hell yeah."
You have
Hung
long
out for a
hair and
couple weeks,
ripped
and
jeans, and you play in a band. I'm in. What's up, dude?
yep, still getting the long hair back. My jeans are dirty, and I still play in a band,
Not
so
much has changed.
not much has changed.
Oh, it's funny. I didn't mean to interrupt you either, because you were talking about like your first serious relationship and
Oh, yeah,
how
yeah.
that went.
So, yeah, no, it was like, yeah, I didn't have control, and then after that ended, I was like, "Oh, I need to have control and, like, take the lead and take charge," and that's what I really found and grew to like, just being a leader and, uh, making sure, that I was doing the correct things and the right things, and, I'm not perfect. I've fucked up relationships. I've fucked up friendships. And it
Same.
is what it is, but it's also a learning experience. And I've taken responsibility and kind of learned and grown from that and been like, okay, this is, yeah, something I don't want to do anymore. Or this is something that I want to find in a future partner where, these are the qualities that I'm looking for. And more recently than anything, I've been really honing in on that. And I can kind of see it like right away within first meeting somebody, is like, oh, is this somebody that I could see, another date with, or continuing this relationship, and going from there. Like there's certain parameters I'm definitely like way more set and kind of like what I want and where I want to go. Um, and yeah, yeah. So it's just learning experience, and I think relationships in themselves can be very beneficial to teach you how you're showing up in the world. I think ultimately everything comes down to just taking personal responsibility for yourself. Um, if somebody had treated you badly, take responsibility for that and be like, what did I do to for this to happen? Even
Mm,
if it was their issue or their
mhm,
problems that they're
mhm,
working on, their past shit. It's like it kind of also comes down to you, like, why did you stay in that relationship when they were treating you poorly?
mm,
um, why did you
mhm.
allow yourself to not stand up for your own values and morals? um, so I think that's huge. That's what I've learned quite a bit of. I don't know if you can share.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. So what you just said, totally agree with. That was my issue. Was like I for a minute or for certain relationships. that I've had in the past definitely played the victim mentality and definitely carried issues of my own and from issues from past relationships into my current ones or the next relationship I got into. And it definitely bled all over it. um, and then when shit wouldn't work out or I found myself unhappy, I'd be like, well, it's their fault, or they're an asshole, they treat me like shit. And it's like, no, I started to develop a pattern. And it honestly, it wasn't until, like, recently, probably the last year and a half, I was like, "I'm the problem. I have the issues." I realized full-heartedly and accepted that I had serious codependency issues. I would stay in relationships I actually wasn't happy in and try to make it
Mm,
work and try to make myself happy with that person, even though we clearly were not compatible. And I had poor boundaries, especially in my romantic relationships, because I think I had the mindset of like, well, we're in a relationship, I shouldn't have to have any boundaries, and
mhm,
neither should you. I learned that that's just basic respect
mhm.
to
Yeah.
do that, and I wasn't doing that for them, like my partner, or for myself, and that's how it would turn toxic, or my insecurities would amplify and bleed onto the relationship, and I create like re-traumatize myself or like victimize myself,
Mhm,
over and over. And then, then I do toxic behavior. Like I have cheated, I've been cheated on, and it's not an excuse. Just because you've been cheated on doesn't mean you get to cheat on somebody else
mhm.
or cheat on them back, even if they cheated on you. Um,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
disgusting behavior. I've done it more times than I like to admit. But it just made me realize like I am not in a healthy mindset to be in a relationship, and I need to focus on my issues and work on myself before I get in a relationship with somebody else, because it's not fair to them and it's not fair to me.
Mhm,
So, um, and especially if kids involved, like I have a son, it's like that's not fair. I don't want to present a relationship pattern in front of my son that he's gonna mirror and then in turn
mm,
repeat. I want him to have healthy relationships too. The first one being with yourself. So that's why I've been single, not committing to anybody. I'm not even on dating apps. Like I'm not. I was on dating apps a while ago just to like hook up, but I laid boundaries down, which I suck at. But that I'm like, this is strictly hooking up. Like, I don't want feelings. We're not gonna get in a relationship. I'm not gonna go on a date with you. I'm not gonna meet your fucking mom. Like, it's not happening. You're not gonna meet my son. It's not. We're not doing that.
mhm.
So, yeah, I was kind of doing that, and then I got sick of that too. Uh, honestly, being single sucks. I hate it. But I also love being alone now. I've learned how to be okay with being alone, be okay with just sitting with myself. I think the relationship with myself has grown in love and repair a lot, especially this past year. So,
Hell yeah. That's good. I think it's really good to sit in that, you know, sit in that singleness, like sit with that uncomfortable feeling, because that's where you're going to really grow and really learn from yourself. Um, really, like if you take all substances away, all everything, and you just kind of like really focus in on like, okay, like I'm here right now, I'm in the present moment. I can look objectively at my past. I can look at what I've done and really see, how I can overcome those certain traumas or um, things to where they don't affect future relationships. I think that's super important. I don't think a lot of people nowadays really do that. They kind of like get out of one relationship, they rebound right into the next one. And yeah, I mean, I've done it myself as well. And it's not healthy because you could still, I mean, there's two sides of it. You can be single and work on yourself and grow and really fix those issues, or you can be with someone that has the space and capacity for you to work on that. It takes a really special person
mhm,
um, to be able to do that. And I think relationships can heal you. They can help you grow. And I think it's just all coming down to checking yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? But why is this person triggering me in this way or making me feel this certain way? And then just really, yeah, just really diving into your past on why that happened for me. Um, like my first serious relationship, not you, but uh, like she cheated on me, and from
Mhm.
that moment on, I remember, and it took me like 7 or 8 years to really remember like the promise I made to myself that I would never get close to someone or I'd never let that happen again. And so I always guarded myself with a relationship after that. And so the relationship I got into after that, I was very insecure about that happening again.
Mhm.
And I was realizing once I had time to reflect and look at it, I was like, oh, I was showing up in a way that was really unhealthy, that that wasn't actually even a possibility because she loved me so much and that was never going to happen. But I was so, you know, like damaged or whatever because of that past thing. And you know, it ended up like ruining that whole relationship because I was so insecure about that. And, you know, once I realized it, I went through that emotional intelligence course out in Vegas. And I remember like we were just doing a lot of EQ, a lot of like really deep interpersonal work. And I was like, holy shit. I remember I had guarded myself and I told myself I was never going to let anybody in. And from that moment on, I was like, oh shit, like that's why I made that or that's why I did that. And then I just kind of saw the trail that it left and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I was like, oh, okay. Something that somebody told me was like, no matter what, people are going to do whatever people are going to do, and you can't control people. You can't, do anything. All you can do is control yourself and
Yeah.
your thoughts, and make sure that you're showing up as the best person at all times. And yeah, and so it's been a learning process, and I felt with relationships after that, I've done a lot better with that. I didn't, I checked myself a lot more. I was like, oh yeah, no, she loves me, blah blah blah. It's good. Um, you know, and yeah, that's kind of where I see on that. So
We love self-reflection and growth.
yes, self-reflection
Yes.
and growth is super important. And yeah, I don't think to you don't need to wait to, be single or get in a relationship or whatever. Like you can grow as long as you're like growing and you're honest with your partner about that stuff and you have that open communication. That's super crucial. I think you can definitely work on yourself while being in a relationship. So,
I agree with that as well, and there are those types of people out there, like, that will have that patience and that space for you. But I think it's important for everybody, anybody getting in a relationship, to go in knowing what you want. Like, I think everyone
mhm.
should have their standards and expectations and qualities that they look for in a partner instead of just jumping in. Take the time to get to know somebody. That was my issue too. Like, I'd just be like full send, like, let's get married, let's go. Like,
Mm.
let's fall in love in like 3 days. I had such like unhealthy boundaries, unhealthy expectations, unhealthy behaviors in relationships. And I would just think it's different each time. And it just always ended up the same. I had the same pattern of behavior, thinking process, attitude about it. And I think it's just because like trauma that I experienced growing up. And we'll do an episode on trauma. We'll get down on some trauma and mental health
Maddie's
issues.
got trauma.
I got you on that. I got a fuck ton of trauma. Um, That's funny. So, I just lost my train of thought. Fuck. So, yeah, a lot of trauma that really influenced my relationships. And when you have unresolved issues, like you attract people that may not be the healthiest for you too. Um, like I'd attract like very abusive people, alcoholics, addicts. And I'm not saying addicts are bad people. I'm just saying I'm an addict as well, so it's bad. It was bad for me. Just toxic relationships. Yeah, but going in with standards of what you want, like for me personally, I know if I'm gonna get in a relationship with somebody, I need someone who's patient with me because I'm not a patient person. I'm working on that. But um I need someone that's more patient than me and more level headed than me because I'm not gonna be sexist and be like, I'm a woman and I'm emotionally unstable. That's on trauma. But
Mhm.
we're working on that.
I think that's very important with what you're saying of going into a relationship and knowing knowing what you want and knowing like yeah, like making sure your standards and everything in a relationship are what you want. Because if you are in a state of desperation or like, oh, I need to be with somebody or I'm hurt,
Mhm.
that could like limit your ability to pick a preferred partner. Like you could be like, I'm still dealing with all this shit. I got all this trauma, but this person kind of fills those needs for me. And if I get in a relationship with this person that's going to fix all this stuff, but it's not the not the right way to go about it because nobody can fix you except yourself.
Mhm.
You can learn from people and you can learn how people deal with their own stuff, and it's very beneficial. But like it always comes down to what you want in a relationship. If you're feeling a certain type of way, really realizing why you're feeling that way and kind of go from there. But yeah, we all have those standards, those boundaries that need to be met,
Mhm.
and all those like pre-qualifications. It's like looking for like a candidate for a job. Like if you want uh, a certain position or whatever at a company, you want to make sure, and you're trying to fill that position, you want to make sure that person meets all those qualifications that you're looking for, so you know the job will get done. And you wouldn't want to fill somebody in with no experience or too much experience. It's kind of like a good middle ground sort of thing. So
I
I
l
don't know, it's a bad analogy,
No, I was
but
about to say I like that. It's like a relationship and yeah, it's like a job interview.
and
Here's my
essentially,
resume. Here's what I have to offer. Here's
hmm
what I have experience in.
hmm
Here are my references. Am I
yeah.
fit for the job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta figure out like, okay, is this gonna work long term for sure.
Can I be in your company? We're goofy today, and it's fine. Um, oh, another thing I want to say too, like going into a relationship that is fear based. What I mean is like
Hmm,
going into a relationship because you're afraid that you're gonna die alone or whatever, or you're never gonna find anybody that does meet your standards or what you want within your standards. I think that's not a good thing. I've done that as well. Like settling, you know. A lot. I noticed a lot of people because I've talked to like a lot of divorced people, and they'd always come to the conclusion of like, they settled. They just got into a marriage or relationship because that's what you do. You get married and you have kids and get a house and get a job and da 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 da. But like then they're divorced what 20, 30 years later because the person that they picked they just settled
hmm.
because that was what they're supposed to do, and it's like that's weird to
And
me.
it could be too like people change over time. Like
Mhm.
maybe at the time it was like what you wanted at the same time, but I think you still need to like grow and work on yourself. Like if you just like let yourself go after you get married, it's like of course like they're not going to be as attracted, or you're not working on yourself, you're not growing. That's huge because I think a lot of people like get into a relationship and they just stop growing. They're like, cool, I've made it.
I'm done.
I'm done. Like I don't need to work on myself. Like it's not true. Like I think that mentality you have when you're like, all right, I'm gonna make myself better. I'm gonna, go to the gym. I'm gonna be healthier. I'm gonna work on myself. I'm gonna read all these books. All this stuff. I think you still need to have that when you're in a relationship because you know you kind of want to have that differentiating um, person, and you also want to be different yourself. You want to continue to grow. So like you look back on, let's say you're with somebody for 30, 40 years, you want to be like, oh yeah, I've loved this person for 30, 40 years, but I've like also loved different versions of them. Like they've all
Mm.
grown and become different versions. I've loved every single one of them. I think that's kind of cool. I heard that somewhere where they were like, yeah, this person grew, and I loved every version they grew into because you're continuing to get better, and um, yeah, I think that's super huge. So,
I
but
think
yeah,
that yeah, I think that's the point. I Complacency is not. Yeah,
hmm,
that's
adapt or die.
yeah,
Seriously,
yeah. Damn. All right,
adapt or die.
we're threatening you. Your marriage will fail. We know everything. Kidding. Yeah, complacency, getting lazy. Like I am 100% true believer in like never stop flirting with your partner. It doesn't matter if you guys been married for 40 years or been together 5 years. Doesn't matter. Like flirt with them like you're trying to win them over.
Hmm.
That should never stop. Like I'm really big on that, and maybe it's just because like I'm just a little romantic person. Everyone's different though, that's why everyone has different love languages and attachment styles and personality types. And I think that's really important to know about a potential partner before you get in a relationship because it could be like, oh yeah, the whole opposites attract and or we have everything in common. I
Mhm.
guarantee goddamn to you do not.
Mm-mm.
So like when I'm like talking to somebody, I'm always like, take this personality quiz,
Yeah, for
take
sure.
this quiz, take that quiz.
Yeah, that's always
How's your
super
relationship
important.
with your mother?
What are
Yeah.
your yeah, what are your love languages? What are your love languages, Maddie?
Mine? Oh, my
How do you
numero
show love?
my numero uno is physical touch and words of affirmation.
Okay.
Like, don't just show me, let me tell me. I need
Mm,
both.
okay.
So
So that's how you like to receive love. How do you like to give love?
give. Oh, what was it? Mine was I think it was quality time and gift giving. I love getting presents for people I love. I don't know. And it's not just like I'm not bougie or anything like that. I'm not like, "I'm gonna buy you diamonds and
Small
gold."
gestures. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I saw this
Flowers.
little trinket and I thought of you because of this reason and I wanted to give this to you. Or I made this for you because I know you like this and that and I want you to have it. It's like, in a way, like I'm giving a piece of my love to you.
Mm,
So that's how I do it. What about you?
mm. Yeah, I would say yeah, I'm pretty similar on that aspect, like physical touch, um,
Mhm,
quality time. Time is super important. Like if you don't have time, I'm just kind of like, oh, like I'm not super interested. That's kind of the challenging thing. Everybody's super busy nowadays, and I totally
mhm.
understand that. I'm super busy myself, but you know, I think if you make the time, you make the effort. I'll make the time. I'll make the effort. And I'm always that person. Like I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm like always down. Um, and then yeah, I kind of do the way I like to show love would be like acts of service, like building something for you. Oh, you need me to put up some shelves or you know stuff like that. I find enjoyment in that. It's kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. So,
I noticed a lot of men's love languages is acts of service,
mm,
labor of love. They're
mm-hmm,
like, and I didn't really understand that till recently when I was like, oh, 'cause I dated somebody who wasn't really physically affectionate, but, like, he would do a lot of things for me, like build things or make things, and I'm like, "Oh, that's." It took me a while to understand that. I was like, "Oh, that's how he shows his love. He
hmm.
builds things and does
Yeah,
projects. He wants to do projects with me." Oh, okay, that makes sense, but, like, still, I know my love language, and if it's not being met, like.
yeah, and that all can be solved with communication. Like just be
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, when we see that show up, you're like, oh okay, yeah, he's showing his love. Yeah, and then you just have that conversation. Yeah, people are on the same page. You got to be open with that.
Yeah, communication. Oh, communication
Huge.
relationships. Oh, dude, I was fucking awful. So like I'd either be completely like blunt and kind of brash and harsh, or I just wouldn't say my
Mm,
needs or my feelings at all. I had a really hard time 'cause I realized I had a really hard time identifying my feelings and then my boundaries too, and verbalizing in a way that was healthy or constructive. My partner. So that was something I had to learn. That's why as I've been working on myself and meeting new people, I'm like, hey, this is what I know about me so far. This is what I'm working on with me. And this is, my needs and wants and desires and all that stuff. So,
yeah,
yeah.
makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's super crucial to. Gosh, my niece is calling me. Yeah, I think it's super crucial to be just really upfront on what you want and what you need, and it does take a lot of self reflection and a lot of vulnerability to be like able and willing to like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, um, and this is what I need from you, or this is how I'm needing to be right now. Hold on 1 second. Let me silence this real quick.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Another thing I really like to study and talk about is like attachment styles. Just because it not only shows like how you attach to people in relationships, but maybe like it also kind of reflects issues that need to work on in relationships, and how you behave in relationships. So, like, I make everybody take these quizzes, like, not even, like, potential romantic partners, but, like, my family and friends, 'cause they're all different relationships, right? So, Kyle, I think I made you take the attachment style quiz.
Mhm.
What did you get?
Secure.
Of course you did. Of course. I I got the complete opposite. I got disorganized attachment style. I'm like, "It's on ADHD." Just kidding.
Yeah.
So, okay, why don't you whatever you know about it, why don't you share a little bit about being a secure attachment style?
I think from what I got is like I'm secure in a relationship. Like I feel comfortable, sharing things when I'm with somebody. Like I feel like I can share like the deepest, darkest, emotions of what I'm going through. I feel more comfortable doing that, and I think it just stems from my parental upbringing. So obviously, that's kind of like where the test was coming from. I don't have like I like compared to like the rest of the world or the rest of the first world, I should say. I feel like I had a really good childhood and really good upbringing. My parents were very supportive. They were, so strict at times, but they were always there for me if I needed something or if I needed to talk about something. My mom a little bit more on the emotional side. My dad a little bit more on the uh, like I don't know, just being there, like if shit went wrong side. Um, so yeah, so I feel like I got both of those from my parents. Neither of them were addicts or alcoholics or anything. Nothing, nothing too crazy there. When I went and got out on my own and started understanding and listening to everybody else's stories, I was like, holy smokes! Like there's a lot of people that are having kids that shouldn't be having kids, or there are people that don't know what they're doing, and I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. But I think some people, are really like once you have a kid, I think you have to realize like you're still responsible for that life, and you want to make sure that they are getting the best possible, experience that they possibly can. And you don't want to make sure that your your shit is passing onto them. And I think people that are in, addiction or, not dealing with past trauma in and out of relationships, they don't really see that. And, they don't really grow or continue on and continue to get better from that. And that's what's crazy. I've heard of experiences where somebody grows up in an environment where their mom has like married and remarried like multiple times throughout her like growing up, and this is just a past experience that I've had seen with someone. And for her it was like she took that like subconsciously or whatever, and it was always like, oh, if something's not going correctly or if something is, off or there needs to be something to be worked on, you're just gonna dip and you're gonna peace out because that's what I saw my mom doing when I was growing up. And trying to have that conversation, it's tough because sometimes people aren't open or willing to see that, and they're justifying their own emotions and sticking to that. And that's really hard to deal with someone if they're really defensive or they're not willing to work on themselves or open up themselves in that way. And yeah, I've had that experience with a past relationship where they were so quick, they're avoidant
Mm,
attachment style, and so they were
mm,
so quick to leave anytime they were unhappy with anything. And
mm,
it was really difficult because I need communication, I need time together to like work on shit, and they
mm,
were very avoidant. And so something would be wrong, and they wouldn't talk to me for a couple days, even though we'd be living together, and it was really weird and awkward, and that builds up resentment because you're like, why don't we fucking work on this, or why don't we make sure that like everything is fine and you're okay with being avoidant, and that's just how they worked on stuff. And it was like and then top that on with like defensiveness, and you
mhm,
know yeah, it was yeah, it was very, very challenging, not something that I wanted to pursue any longer. um and yeah, it was my first experience with something like that. But
Mm,
I think that's crazy. I think the value of commitment in today's day is not there so much. It's more like I love you you know until I don't sort of thing. And
mm,
the idea of marriage, I'm not really pro or against marriage, but I think the idea of marriage today is very beneficial to the woman as a woman gets more so in the divorce they're incentivized to leave in a sense because a guy could have all this money and get married and the girl doesn't contribute anything. A couple years later she gets half of his shit. That's wrong. I don't think that's right. The guy built up all this shit on his own and wanted to share a life with you, and then you're just gonna take all the shit. Like, it's crazy. Like, because women, what is it like? If a guy doesn't pay child support, he could go to jail. But if a woman doesn't pay child support, she gets help. She gets government assistance and funding, and the court system definitely favors women in uh, child custody, stuff like that. So if it's like, even if both parties want 50-50, or if like that's like the ultimate goal, but the woman wants majority of time, the courts will always favor the woman, which I think is wrong. It kind of goes to why maybe society is a little bit more fucked up now because I think it's important to have a father figure and a fatherly role in a child's development growing up. Because if you look at all the people that are in prison, majority of them come from a single parent household, and the single parent was a mother. And if you look at that, it's like it's crazy, and the court system's favoring that. I think it's all intentional. Maybe another topic for our conspiracy
Jesus
podcast,
Christ.
but it's crazy to think about because like guys are very they're not they don't get the upper hand when it comes to a marriage. What are they really getting out of the relationship when they enter into a marriage? It's like there's yeah, it's challenging for sure. I think it definitely favors women for sure. um, but it takes two. Like, it definitely takes two. Like, if there's a guy that's not holding up his end of the commitment or he's being an asshole, I totally understand that. There's certain outliers and cases
I
like
was about to
that.
say.
But I'm not. I see where you're.
I was
I see
like,
you're getting all feisty
I'm
over there.
like,
You're like,
oh, okay,
all right, I'm
Kyle.
coming to.
Here we
I'm coming
go.
to. Coming to swing back here, but
I'm-
I'm like, I'll defuse you real quick, because like, because it's true. Like I mean, that's how it all is. I mean, courts favor the women, and you know, but also there are a lot of shitty people out there. But I
Mhm.
think women can get away with being shitty people easier than men can. Men are a little bit more scrutinized in that aspect. So,
Yeah, I think it's societally structured, you know. For my sake, though, thank God they favored or favor women and mothers because, like you said earlier, like every situation's different, you know. Yes, I believe both parents obviously should take responsibility for that child's life, and whether it be pay for it or take the time or both or whatever. Um, be it some situations, it's best that maybe the other parent shouldn't be involved at all.
mhm.
But that's why for my situation, and I don't mean to make it so personal, but I do because I've experienced myself. I To protect the safety of my child and myself, I had to go,
Mhm.
and not have that person involved at all
And
whatsoever.
did that person want to be involved though?
I don't. Uh, I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think that's yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that makes sense for that situation because they didn't
yeah,
they didn't want to be involved in Ollie's life, and
yeah.
that's understandable. It sucks. It's stupid. I don't
Mm,
understand how you wouldn't want to be a part of your child's life. But yeah, on the counter to that, like if both parents want to be involved in their child's life,
that's different for
that's
sure.
different. But then
Yeah,
yeah, the courts were always going to favor
but
favor the woman in
but
that
majority
aspect.
of the time, and I don't mean to get sexist either, but like majority of the time with those cases, the fathers that make those babies don't want to be involved, and they take off,
Hmm.
or they're abusive, or they get locked up anyway.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's not a fair system, and it sucks, and there's statistics and shit, and it's hard being a single parent. I don't know. We're doing a podcast on relationships. We got into this segue. Um, but yeah, I kind of coming back to relationships. There's people that will stay in abusive relationships or stay in marriages for the kids or
Mm,
because they can't afford it. To raise the kids or living expenses and shit like that, and they'll stay in these unhappy, unhealthy, toxic, abusive relationships. And that's kind of what I learned growing up because my mom was in a very abusive marriage for 17 years, and she told me she stayed because she had two kids to raise and she couldn't do it on her own, like
mm,
financially or like I think like mentally. I was not an easy kid to raise. And then, the thought of raising two kids on your own when you've been raising two kids with somebody else, like that's terrifying. I understand that. Um, so when I became a parent and I was like, I'm doing this by my motherfucking self, it was scary. It was very scary. But I made it work. My family helped me a lot. Mom's really supportive about it. And she got out of that marriage. She left him and so I do believe that some relationships and marriages need to end. Like
mm,
I am so for devotion and like working on things and ride or die kind of shit. But like if it comes to a point where your physical safety is being threatened or abused, or you're just in a really bad relationship or toxic environment where it's affecting your children or your mental health to a severity point where you can't function your day to day, like walking on eggshells, things like that. And you've tried everything that you could do. I totally 110% agree. It's okay to leave.
mhm,
It's always okay to leave.
for sure. Yeah,
So,
if you've given everything you can, and yeah, yeah, abusive relationships, obviously, um, absolutely, yeah. Um, so yeah, I think it's definitely, definitely situations where, yeah, where things are not going right. Someone's abusive or an addiction or, you know, not holding up their end of the commitment or the standards that you've laid out. If, somebody isn't, in that relationship and they stop doing what your kind of standards are or
mhm.
your morals, or they cross boundaries, stuff like that, for sure. Yeah, you can definitely have that conversation with them and be like, hey, like I want you to understand, like if you cross this boundary or if you do this certain thing, I consider that like a sign of disrespect or a reason to not continue this relationship anymore. As long as people are aware of that, and if they have the ability, or just if they have the, I don't know the word for it, but like if they do take that seriously and they commit that to action and don't do that anymore, then it's like, okay, cool. But if you've brought that up and it's like, hey, this is what I need from this relationship and it's not being met, then yeah, you're absolutely okay with leaving, because and you shouldn't feel bad about that because you're sticking up for yourself and you're sticking up for your own boundaries and morals and values. And if somebody, has heard you express yourself in what you need from that relationship and they're like, nope, I'm not doing that, and it's like, cool, that's definitely a reason to leave. But I think it all stems from that communication, and if that they're open and willing to change or to meet you where you need to be met. So
So Kyle, what are your relationship deal breakers? Like,
it's a
give
good one.
me obviously there's gonna be some common ones I think we all agree would be deal breakers. Give me those obviously, but give me some that might be specific to you.
I would say deal breakers if you're, you know, very promiscuous, I would say. Like extremely, maybe have a lot of guy friends, high body count, and that's all relative.
Wow.
Uh
I'm learning things about you today. Like, really? What- and then you go
yeah.
into, well, what's a high body count?
Yeah,
Like
exactly. You
what
kind
does
of go,
that
that's all,
mean?
that's why I was like, it's all relative. Um, you know, I would just say, yeah, if you brought something like, hey, like, I don't know, time, like you don't have any time.
Okay.
Um, if you don't see like like if you don't see what I want from a relationship, or if that's not what you want, like, I want kids and you don't want kids, that's obviously a deal breaker. Um, you know, I um I feel like I'm in an unfair situation and I'm trying to make it more fair, or you're being defensive. Um, that's probably a deal breaker. Maturity. I don't know. What are your deal breakers for
Mm.
relationships?
I I can't date a normie.
Mm,
That's a deal breaker for me.
yeah.
I need someone with, like, similar life experiences. I need someone with a past, or I'm just not until I'm like, "Oh, you want problems?" And not, like, problems, like, to give to me, because 'cause I'm not gonna fix them for you, but, like, I don't know, I love me a good comeback story.
Mm,
I need someone who's been through some shit and has overcome that. That tells me they're resilient, they're strong in character and in mind frame, and, something to relate to, because I've said this 20 million times on this podcast. I have a lot of trauma, and, like, I just need someone who, just, like, needs, like, kinda gets it
Is
too.
it kind of like something that you're like, in a sense, looking at for yourself? Like you go back on resiliency for your own stuff that you're working through as something where you're like, oh, cool, like this is how they've overcome this certain thing in their life. Is that something that you're kind of wanting for yourself in a way? Like, how did this person do it? So I could do it too.
Yeah, and, when I say normie, it sounded so ignorant, I apologize.
Ignorant.
Ignorant. I don't know, this is, like, specific to me, but I need, like, I wanna be with an addict, like, in recovery, not
Mm.
obviously using, but, like, that's a preference, but definitely not a normie. Another deal breaker for me is, I should have more. This is this is bad.
What about qualities that you're looking for? Like you said,
Oh,
resilience. That's a good one.
yeah, resiliency,
Like character, qualities,
that has their own
values.
personality,
Mm,
like, don't copy what I do, like, I want, like, someone who's unique, their own person. There being, like, personality traits or, like, character or opinions. Because, like, I'm not saying I like to look for arguments, but I like to hear different, viewpoints and perspectives and be able to talk about that, even in a, intimate or romantic relationship or fashion. So, because I like to have conversations about deep things. I'm not a small talk gal, but yeah, it's someone I can conversate with, like, talk about anything with. If I can't talk to you about everything, that's a deal breaker for me.
mhm,
Um, Qualities as well. Yeah, someone patient for sure. I lack in that department. I'm working on it, as I said. But yeah, someone patient and understanding and non-judgmental. I don't like judgmental people. It's like you don't know where they've come from. You don't know what they're going through. It's just I think it's like basic shit,
mhm.
you know. Um
Makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, and then someone funny, dude. I like to laugh. Make me fucking laugh and I'm in.
Hell
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, have a sense of humor, be a little goofy,
Yeah.
I like that. What about you? What qualities for you?
Um. Yeah. I like someone that's just got a good heart, good good soul. That's
Mhm,
you know um unique, artistic.
mhm,
Someone that you know can handle themselves in social search situations. Not like super awkward, but someone that's like comfortable to be around, submissive. Um. I would say just overall, like, I don't know, someone like kind, it's not,
nice.
someone's kind,
Someone who's
nice.
nice to me?
Someone's nice. Yeah, someone's nice to me. I'm like, yeah, nice. Hell
Thank
yeah.
you. I need that.
Yeah.
Thanks for not being a bitch.
Good, yeah. Good conversation. Uh, you know, I think that's huge. Just being able to chit chat and talk about whatever, feeling comfortable talking about, the good, bad, and the ugly around the world, and um,
Mhm,
someone you have deep conversations with, um, someone you don't feel bad about staying up super late, chatting, talking about stuff, fun. Yeah,
yeah,
it's good
basic
qualities.
stuff. I
Yeah,
think, yeah, I think
yeah.
I think we're all
Good
kind of looking
values,
for
good
all those
morals,
things.
someone that
Yeah.
treats other people with respect and kindness. I think that's huge. Like if you treat other people with respect, it's I think I value probably respect more so than being loved. 'cause
Mm.
I like being respected, and, being disrespected is like, "Oh, okay, well, I don't fucking care about you." Like, I don't know. It's just weird.
You know what's not a deal breaker for me, but kind of a quality I it's not like the top list, but someone who has been around, you know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? I'm not saying, like 'cause I'm not down with cheating. I've cheated. I've been cheated on. Uh, mm-mm, we don't do that toxic shit no more. But, just someone who's had experiences
mhm,
in an, in-depth fashion. So, anything from, like, sex to, like, just life experiences, anything in depth like that, I don't think it's a deal breaker to be promiscuous or have a high body count. So, just
and
wanna throw that
it's
out
always
there.
relative, and it's definitely not fun to be with someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You definitely want you definitely want that experience there for sure. It's a little bit more fun, so,
Yeah,
um
and I don't mean to make it shallow, but, like, if we're talking about relationships, like, physical attraction, intimacy, and sex, like, they're 2 different things, right? But those are with my love language being physical touch, like, that's a big deal for me. So, if there's not a lot of that going on, I'm not gonna feel loved, and then I'm gonna get resentful in the relationship. I've noticed this
or
in my
bored.
past
Yeah,
relationships, and bored as fuck.
yeah.
And I like I said, I do not excuse cheating at all. I have cheated. I've been cheated on. But like when you're not being satisfied in those areas, and it's not just sex either, like intimacy, like that quality
Mhm,
time, that that attraction, that attention that you're giving to your partner, like you wonder why people go out and cheat, which is stupid. Just leave,
mhm.
right? But it's
Or
it's
join
never that simple.
polyamorous relationships.
Fuck yeah, get on that
I've
for
always wondered
real.
that too, like, if somebody can enlighten me, is it something where you you want that, like, close personal relationship, but you also wanna fuck other people? Like, is that you're just, like, kind of a are you a cheater? But you're not in that sense, you know what I mean? Is it just because you can't be committed to one person? I don't know.
Hmm.
That's what I've always wondered.
I let's see. Well, I don't want to speak on the community because like I've dabbled in it, but I'm not like a full blown member of it. But from my experiences and shows I've watched and people I met that are in that lifestyle or relationship dynamic is like the biggest thing is communication. Because like we're
Mhm.
animals, like we could be a penguin, be committed to our life partner, and still look at another
Another
person and
penguin,
be
be
like,
like,
"Damn,
"Damn,
I'd fuck that."
it's a nice penguin."
Yeah, it's a nice penguin. Got some nice feathers. God.
I love the way it walks.
I can't take you anywhere, dude. um,
Got a nice
little waddle going on. Oh shit. We have a podcast. That's funny. Um, no, I think it's communication. And I think it's whether you went into that relationship already talking or discussing that kind of dynamic, or let's say because I've seen it where people have been together for a minute and then one of their partners is like, hey, just wanted to bring this to the table and communicate with you, like maybe we should try this and see what happens. And I think it just depends on how that conversation goes, and what partners are what both partners are willing to do in that aspect. Because like I've been in relationships where we had an open relationship, and I had a girlfriend and I had a boyfriend, and it didn't end well, but um it was really exhausting. Honestly, I was like, I don't have time for this. But
yeah.
um
Having one person it takes a lot of time. I can
yeah.
only imagine too. That'd be a lot of texting.
So for all y'all that are poly and killing it, like good on you. You have
Mhm.
energy and security and
Yeah, I'd
communication
love
that
that.
I don't think I'll ever achieve. You are on a whole different level. And they're doing it right, man. Like the more the merrier. It takes a village to raise them kids. And so like more hands on deck, like you guys are doing it right. Like for real.
Yeah, show me a successful one. I would love to see a successful one. That'd
Oh
be
yeah.
awesome.
I know like personally I have met and I know polyamorous couples that are doing the damn thing, and they're on TV.
Mm.
So yeah, they're from the Boise area. They live in Washington, I believe now. But yeah, they're poly. They just married in their third. Um, I
Oh,
think she's from
crazy.
the Philippines. Yeah.
Nice.
So and they're doing it, and
Hmm.
they're awesome people. So yeah, it's a thing. It works. Like I said, if all parties are like in agreement with it and they communicate and they, go through that dynamic and system of becoming a poly. I love that we're ending this podcast episode on poly
You
and
started it
then
and then
started
end
it on poly.
it.
What are you trying to say here?
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, I'm super open to it. I don't judge it. I've experienced it in different dynamics and fashions and situations with different people, but I think for me, just for me personally, I just want my one person. And but right now my one person is
You.
me.
Yep.
Is me.
Yep.
We're figuring it
Same.
out.
Same. And I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun. It's good. I'm like, I don't know. It makes it so much more clear, like once you really define what you want and define what you want from a relationship, and it just makes it so clear because you're like, oh, this person isn't it. That's okay. And you're like, cool. Or oh, I could see this with this person, and this would be a lot of fun. So it's cool. It's cool to define that. Find that within yourself,
Hmm.
and just grow. Just keep working on yourself and keep making it better and keep having fun and
Yeah.
keep checking yourself, making sure that you're, holding your boundaries and values and having fun doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Um, my relationship with myself has been awesome because, like, the biggest things that I have grown into and have, I think now I have a pretty good grasp on it is my self worth and what I want and setting boundaries. Who knew, like, how healing and beneficial it is to have boundaries, you know?
mm.
Fuck that people pleasing shit. So I did that my whole life. So needed validation from other people, especially in my romantic relationships. Like that was like my food and water, like to survive. I needed my partner to validate me constantly. And it was just demeaning to my self worth and who I was as a person. And so
That's
being
probably
alone.
exhausting for the other person as well too.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah, why do you think they're not around?
Yeah. Oh
I'm
goddamn,
sorry.
wore me out.
I didn't love myself. I'm working on it. I think I'm great now. Yeah, and then, yeah, working on insecurities and, like, past traumas, like, I've healed through, some past trauma that I have not dealt with in a very long time this past year. Um, Even this past year, I've like really honed in on like my relationship with myself and like I fully realized and accepted it wasn't fake confidence either, just trying to like, you know, inspire other people too to be confident. I really was like, I am actually a pretty cool person. Like I I have a lot of love to give, but I'm learning how to give it to myself. And that's probably the greatest gift you can give to yourself and eventually to others is to learn how to love yourself and have a good relationship with yourself. So I'll end on that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely been figuring it out myself. Um, Definitely learning to really go back and find things that I love doing and really hone into my things and what I want to create for my life. Um, and I think forgiveness is huge. Just forgiving yourself for the ways you fucked up, forgiving yourself for staying in those relationships that you shouldn't have.
Hmm.
Um, and really, yeah, just not taking it so hard on yourself. I feel like I'm like my own worst critic, and I've been really hard and judgmental on myself, and just learning to forgive myself for those things, and really kind of for me, it's always just like sitting in that, like, okay, cool, like I did this, but that's not who I am,
Hmm.
or
For
I
sure.
was showing up this way, and that's not how I want to show up. I have the ability every single day to decide and to choose what I want to do and how I want to be and who, the person I want to show up as every single day. And I think that's the greatest gift that we get every single day, to be able to be alive and breathe in and, being able to share the moments with you. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yay!
All right. Hell yeah.
Cool.
Well, that's actually like right at
It is.
1 hour. Boom.
And boom, we did it. Episode 2,
Episode 2 out now.
Dunsky. Thanks, guys.